Lost in the game, I added the handsome guy from the next table on WeChat. His first post, 2 words, heartbreaker. Posted a minute ago. I turned my head and caught his cryptic gaze, as if he were a forlorn lover. After several rounds of drinks, a slight buzz set in. The game kept slipping away, and somehow, I had gathered 5 new contacts from attractive guys. Hey, mind if I add you on WeChat? This was the 6th one tonight. Confident and smooth, I stood before him, ready to scan his QR code, thinking it would be quick and easy. He glanced at me when I spoke, then quickly lowered his head again. No, the music in the bar was a bit loud, so I wasn't sure I heard him right. Leaning closer, I raised my voice. What did you say? He seemed a little impatient and even clicked his tongue as he lifted his head. I said, his warm breath brushed my cheek. And then, nothing. I waited a few seconds, puzzled, then turned my head. There he was, his handsome face frozen just 2 fingers width away, his eyes still locked on mine. In that instant, he averted his gaze and lowered his noble head once more. I said no. Now that we were closer, I heard him clearly. No. I was taken aback. I had just been turned down. Me, Zhong Yaoyao, rejected by a guy. Well, this was a novel experience. I smiled at him, just making friends. Without even lifting his head, he responded, do you lack friends? His words were sharp, biting. If it's because you have a girlfriend and it's inconvenient, then, I said, still maintaining my politeness, using what little patience I had left. Before I could finish, he interrupted firmly, with a hint of resentment, I don't have a girlfriend. Huh. I couldn't hold back anymore. So, no girlfriend, yet he still doesn't want to add me. Silence fell between us. Neither of us spoke. The bar buzzed with heat and noise, yet in our corner, the air seemed to grow cold, almost freezing. Just as my contact lenses started to dry out, the guy next to him broke the ice. Can I add your WeChat, miss? He scratched his head awkwardly after asking. Thank you, icebreaker. Of course, I sighed in relief, flashing a sweet smile. Let me scan you. It didn't matter whose contact I got, as long as it helped me get through this. One guy or another, what difference did it make? But just as I was about to scan his code, the handsome guy's QR code suddenly appeared in front of me. Before I knew it, I had added him instead. What's the meaning of this? I was dumbfounded. Didn't he say no? What's with the two-faced act? Is this some kind of playing hard to get game? You could have asked a few more times, you know? He glanced at me, his tone so maddeningly self-assured. Does just anyone get to add you? Staring at the screen showing we were now contacts, I said nothing and turned to leave. Sure, he was good-looking, and his physique was impressive, but his brain, not so much. A fleeting encounter, and I'm supposed to guard my WeChat as if it's sacred. Throwing my phone onto the coffee table, I sank back into the sofa. My mischievous friend glanced at my WeChat, then back at the guy, astonished. This guy is seriously hot. Are you sure this isn't a punishment? Feels more like a blessing. A blessing? I nearly laughed out loud. Men. Mere mortals. Do you want this blessing then? I gave her a playful look. I'll pass him to you right now. No thanks, she waved her hand frantically. You keep sending men my way. It's like I'm restocking from your inventory. And not a single one has worked out, I replied, half joking, half disappointed. Her face flushed with embarrassment. The game on the table continued, but I was getting bored. Curled up on the sofa, I opened WeChat to find a screen full of red notifications. Sports major, Pisces, Yao Yao, are you free? Tomorrow? I'd love to buy you a drink. Space, red-haired guy, I really miss you. Can we meet up this week? Engineering student, Scorpio, are you still busy? Yao Yao. If your computer has any issues, I can help anytime. I glanced at the message casually and was about to switch off when another message popped up. He Xingyi. He Xingyi. I said it subconsciously. Is that the name of the handsome guy just now? Why does it sound familiar? My sharp-eared friend heard my mumbling, came over to look at my phone screen, and suddenly sat up straight. Oh my god, He Xingyi. So that handsome guy is He Xingyi. Who? He Xingyi. He Xingyi, the school hunk of the medical school. My friend was excited and shook my hand frantically. You even got He Xingyi's WeChat, and it has to be you, Zhong Yaoyao. Another school hunk? Which school hunk? I sneered. I don't even know how many school hunks there are in our school. This is the 5th school hunk I've added. I was afraid that people would suspect that I had a school hunk collecting habit. Oh no. Seeing that I didn't care, my friend got anxious and quickly opened Weibo to show me, this is the real school hunk. Recognized. I looked in the direction of my friend's finger. National College Hunk Competition appeared in front of me. I almost laughed out loud. Who is so bored to organize such a competition? The level of the participating school hunks is not as good as the ones in my circle of friends. But to be honest, He Xingyi really won. It can even be said to be a massacre. When other school hunks were posing in front of the camera, showing their biceps, or refusing to look at the camera and relying on the atmosphere, He Xingyi didn't have a single selfie. Either he was secretly photographed while reading in the library, or he was photographed while eating in the cafeteria, or he was wearing a white coat and a mask to cover his face tightly. Even his student ID and the photos of the outstanding students on the list were all found. Without any skills, he relied on his looks to get % of the votes in the entire competition. A veritable school hunk. I heard that he never adds WeChat to people he doesn't know, my friend said with a bit of indignation. So, what? He's just a tacky man in front of Zhong Yaoyao. I thought he was quite fresh and refined. So do you want it or not? I was almost out of patience after hearing so much. Yes. My friend's eyes lit up. It's fine to lie on the list of handsome guys, I just want to see the circle of friends of handsome guys. I immediately pushed the person to my friend, and took a look at the circle of friends before clicking it out. The first one was actually from He Xingyi. Just 2 words, scumbag. The time was 1 minute ago. TSK, this is a bit resentful. No wonder he just emphasized to me that he didn't have a girlfriend. Did he quarrel with his girlfriend and got angry? I turned my head with a gloating look, wanting to see his expression, which was probably not good. Who knew that when I looked up, I would bump into He Xingyi's resentful and obscure eyes. Amid the lights and the wine, we looked at each other from a distance. I felt a chill on my back. Oh my god. That scumbag was talking about me. It was already 2 o'clock in the morning when the show ended. I rented a house outside the school, which was not in the same direction as the dormitory. Or I can stay at your house tonight, the bad friend was still worried before leaving. It's too dangerous for a beautiful girl like you to be alone in the middle of the night. 2 beautiful girls are not dangerous? That's right, the bad friend thought for a long time before saying, doesn't the handsome guy from the police academy always ask you out? Ask him to take you there. Anyway, we are all serving the people. Don't bother, I have dog repellent spray in my bag. I said, waving my hand and turning away. It only takes 10 minutes to walk from the bar to the rented apartment, but the location is a bit remote, and there is no one to be seen at this time. There is not even a passing bicycle around, and it is so quiet that I can only hear my own footsteps and heartbeat. I was quite relieved at first, but my heart became more and more uneasy as I walked. I always seemed to hear footsteps approaching slowly from behind. Oh my god, is this really what I am going to encounter? I shouted in my heart that it was not good, quickened my pace, and slowly reached into my bag for something to protect myself. The footsteps behind me were vague at first, but now they are getting clearer and clearer. It seems that he is behind me, I even saw his shadow. At the moment when my psychological defense line collapsed, I decisively took out the anti-dog spray from my bag and turned around quickly. I closed my eyes and sprayed the dead pervert behind me. He scolded me and gave himself courage. You pervert, you dare to follow me, go to hell. The scream of the pervert that I imagined did not appear, but a low cough replaced it. Then my wrist was pinched, and the things in my hand were taken away by him. The pervert spoke, what are you doing? The voice was actually quite nice. I opened my eyes timidly, and saw a tall and thin man under the street light looking down at the things he had just snatched from my hand. The tone was a bit unbelievable, makeup setting spray. The expression was speechless. The face was a bit familiar. Damn, He Xingyi. I stared at He Xingyi's handsome face for a long time before suppressing the ghost fire in my heart, biting my back teeth and questioning him, why are you following me? I was almost scared to death. He Xingyi lowered his head even lower, I didn't follow you. You didn't follow me? I was so angry that I laughed at him, staring at him. Then where are you going? Just walk around. Just walk around. You are really stubborn. Then go ahead. I snatched the setting spray back from his hand. I'll watch you go. I said, turning sideways to make way for him, with my arms around my chest and smiling at him. He Xingyi was stunned for a few seconds and looked at me again, and actually walked forward. I stood by the road and watched him. Quietly. The brat walked away quite resolutely. Could it be that he really didn't follow me? Then wasn't I just being sentimental? A little embarrassed but still very scared, I was struggling to call him. But when I thought of how confident I was just now, I hesitated again and again, and finally just followed him silently. If I really encountered something and called him, he wouldn't just watch me die, right? He Xingyi is tall and has long legs, but fortunately he walks slowly, so I don't have to follow him too awkwardly. He walked slowly in front of me, and the street lights stretched his shadow very long. I followed him quietly, and I felt a lot of security. We were moving forward at the same speed at a distance. But I still felt something was wrong. A light bulb suddenly flashed in my mind, and I suddenly stopped and stood there looking at the person in front of me. He Xingyi in front of me was walking normally at first, then his steps became slower and slower, and finally stopped. 2 seconds later, he turned his head hesitantly. I stood there with my hands behind my back and smiled at him softly, saying jokingly, you walk too fast. TSK, it's easy to be exposed with such a trick. He looks smart and cold, but he's too easy to be fooled. This is a stupid handsome guy. Probably shocked by my rogue look, He Xingyi was stunned for a long time. Then turned around in a panic and continued to walk forward. But his pace was obviously slower. After arriving home, I first reported my safety to my friends. After thinking about it, I sent a message to He Xingyi. Me, Zhong Yao Yao. Me, thank you for today. The other side was typing for a long time, but in the end only 2 words came back. Good night. I got up early the next morning and went to the library. When I was looking for a seat, I was busy explaining what happened last night to my bad friend, and I didn't see the person sitting opposite me clearly. As soon as I put my things away, I looked up and saw He Xingyi across from me. He was reading very seriously and didn't notice me in front of him at all. Without any hesitation, I silently picked up the bag I had just put down and prepared to change my seat stealthily. As a result, as soon as I stood up, I looked up and saw a familiar figure. Alpaca, ex-boyfriend. My ex-boyfriend Zhao Hang obviously saw me, and he turned the corner and walked straight towards me. In those few seconds, I quickly reflected on myself. I washed my hair and put on makeup today, which is great. Now, I just need a boyfriend to support me. Thinking of this, I turned my head and glanced at He Xingyi, who was concentrating on reading and had no defense. It decided to be you. I put my things down again, sat down leisurely, patted the back of He Xingyi's hand, and smiled sweetly. Baby, what are we going to eat later? As soon as I finished speaking, He Xingyi's beautiful eyebrows frowned, and he looked at my hand covering his hand, as if he was looking at something dirty. When he raised his head from where his hand was, his disdain turned into shock. Zhong Yao Yao. Why is it you? I was about to explain the current situation to him. Zhao Hang had already arrived at the battlefield on time, standing in front of the table and looking down at me with ill intentions. Yao Yao, long time no see. Long time no see, I just saw him 2 days ago, and he was asking me to get back together on WeChat yesterday. What are you pretending for? I laughed silently in my heart, rolled my eyes and was about to scold him, but He Xingyi next to me had already put down his pen, stood up slowly, and lazily raised his eyelids to look at the man in front of him. Yao Yao. He Xingyi snorted coldly. We have broken up. Who asked you to call me so intimately? Yao Yao. Zhao Hao's pupils trembled, looked at He Xingyi, and then turned his head to look at me. What are you looking at me for? I was also shocked. Didn't I have time to talk to him about the play just now? How can this kid be so smart and so radical? Zhao Hang looked a little ugly, and he looked at me as if he was deliberately looking for trouble and asked, is this your new love? Why is she different from the one a few days ago? As soon as he said this, even He Xingyi's face changed. When he looked at me, his eyes were inexplicably a little aggrieved. Last night, He Xingyi's words scumbag suddenly pressed down on my back like a heavy mountain, and I looked at him with a pitiful expression like a puppy. I softened my heart for some reason, stood on tiptoes and patted He Xingyi on the head, explaining to him, don't listen to his nonsense, I only have you. After saying that, I turned around and glanced at Zhao Hang, who was bullying the puppy, and said sarcastically, whether the new love is new or not, at least he can please me. It's not like the ex-boyfriend who still wants to show his presence after breaking up. If he doesn't leave, he will only be hated. I didn't have any feelings for Zhao Hang at the beginning. It was just because he was thick-skinned, patient, and not a bad person. After I was merciful and got together with him, I found out that he was actually flirting with other girls behind my back. A man who doesn't love himself is like rotten cabbage. I can't tolerate any sand in my eyes, so of course I kicked him out. After kicking him out, Zhao Hang pretended to be affectionate. He came to me every day to ask for reconciliation. It was so annoying. Zhao Hang sneered at what I said, new love, huh? Okay, I get it. After saying that, he glanced at He Xingyi with a bad look before turning away. As soon as Zhao Hang left, He Xingyi sat down again, buried his head in the book, and said nothing more. I was very excited, grabbed He Xingyi's sleeve and whispered to him, you're good, He Xingyi. How did you guess that he was my ex-boyfriend? And don't mention it, your acting is really good. I was talking to myself, and then I realized that He Xingyi ignored me at all, just quietly looking at the position of my hand. I was stunned, raised my hand and waved in front of him. He Xingyi, what are you looking at? He seemed to come back to his senses, raised his eyelids and looked at me, and said in a playful tone, new love. I was dumbfounded. Just now, wasn't that just to confront Zhao Hang? Zhong Yao Yao. He Xingyi interrupted me, looking a little self-deprecating. Am I your fish? What is this? I didn't understand it at all, but I still shook my head firmly, of course not. Although I am a popular person, I never raise fish, okay? Then what am I? He Xingyi curled his lips with a fake smile, your toy? Your bet? Or one of the fish ponds that you can call and dismiss at will? I just asked for a WeChat account. How come this man said it was like I was dating 8 men at the same time? He Xingyi, can you speak human language? I was a little annoyed. Who did He Xingyi learn this bit of resentful temperament from? I just met him last night. Why is he acting like he wants me to be responsible for him today? Zhong Yao Yao, He Xingyi looked so awkward. Why did you delete me in the first place? What? I was stunned. He Xingyi, did you recognize the wrong person? No doubt. He Xingyi bit his back teeth, his eyebrows full of resentment. He looked so serious that I doubted for a moment whether I really did something to play with his feelings. But then I thought, Zhong Yao Yao, am not such a person. Moreover, if I really cheated on a top man like He Xingyi, I should not forget it. Or you can give me some hints? I scratched my head. What is my relationship with you? It's impossible that I played drifting bottles and had an online relationship with you in elementary school. I looked at He Xingyi sincerely, but he said TSK, as if he didn't want to listen to my nonsense anymore, and packed up and left. When I was studying in the library, my bad friend came to me with a cup of coffee to show my love. This woman was absent-minded in her love and care. She sighed while holding a mobile phone. Why doesn't he agree? Who else could it be? My friend glared at me, the school hunk. I have sent 800 verification messages, but he still hasn't agreed. If he doesn't agree, change him, I replied casually. How can I be without your man? My friend propped up her head thoughtfully. There are not many handsome guys as principled as the school hunk. I have only met one, and it was when I was a sophomore. I couldn't add him to WeChat, no matter what. Hey, that guy seems to be. What does he look like? I replied casually while flipping through a vocabulary book out of boredom. That guy seems to be. My friend seemed to have taken stimulants and suddenly became energetic. His fingers slid frantically on the screen of his mobile phone. After a long while, I heard my friend gasp, oh my god, Zhong Yao Yao, it's really him. You really have human nature but no opposite sex. What the hell? I took my friend's phone in confusion, and after just one look, I froze in my tracks as if struck by lightning. I had recommended He Xingyi to my friend before. He Xingyi was that innocent junior. Zhong Yaoyao, I am so confused. When I was in my sophomore year, the department held a welcome party. As the face of our model United Nations, I was naturally at the forefront of attracting new members. It was at that time that I spotted He Xingyi. Junior, do you want to learn more about our model United Nations? I followed behind He Xingyi, smiling like a flower. He Xingyi was still very shy at that time, and even rejected people so awkwardly. Sorry, senior sister, He Xingyi blushed, I may not be interested in model United Nations. His rejection was obvious, but I, Zhong Yaoyao, was not someone who gave up easily. If you are not interested in model United Nations, then are you interested in dating? I didn't mean anything else when I said this, it was just a routine to recruit new members. Who knew that as soon as I said that, He Xingyi, the silly boy, blushed as if he had drunk 2 tails of white wine. He looked at me timidly and stammered, unable to speak clearly, join MUN. Give a girlfriend, senior sister like this? I almost laughed to death at that time. I just thought that this junior brother was so handsome and innocent, he was too cute. I laughed wildly and patted his shoulder to tease him. Give. Junior brothers who join MUN will give girlfriends. After that, I pulled He Xingyi, who was already too shy to be alone, to fill in the form of joining the club, and added WeChat by the way. But I didn't know his name, I just gave a note of innocent junior brother. During that time, innocent junior brother kept looking for me, but I was pestered by a senior brother in MUN and couldn't do anything, so I quit MUN halfway. Gradually, I didn't think much about such a person. Then, my friend was cheated by Aquaman, and she cried every day. I couldn't stand it, so I tried to recommend men to her. I asked her what type she liked. She said she was tired of Aquaman and wanted to find a pure and innocent guy, preferably younger. My friend, younger brother is so good. I flipped through the list and quickly locked my sights on innocent junior brother. Me, this one is good, innocent and cute younger brother. Me, take him down, don't let me see you cry for a scumbag again. After that, I recommended He Xingyi to my friend, and deleted him quickly. 2 years have passed, and I have completely forgotten about it. What's more, He Xingyi has changed so much, from a pure and innocent little boy to an arrogant and awkward woman. And why did he think I was a scumbag for no reason? I only said I was sending it to my girlfriend, I didn't say I wanted to be her girlfriend. I thought about it and asked my friend, well, has He Xingyi been in a relationship in the past 2 years? I haven't heard of it, my friend shook his head, who can handle him? Does a man who doesn't even let you add me on WeChat really need a girlfriend? I listened to this in silence. After a few more words, my friend left. The surroundings suddenly became quiet. I was flipping through the book but couldn't read a single word. My mind was full of He Xingyi's handsome face and his resentful expression. I was so annoyed that I simply closed the book, opened WeChat and clicked on He Xingyi's moments. Unlike this awkward person, his moments are very open and honest. It's clean at a glance. The latest one was the bad girl that I mentioned last night, but the one before that was several months ago. The time was the day of the month, and there was only an emoji. Yeah, it was very strange. The next post was on the 4th of the month. At 4 AM. A very standard online depression song, if I didn't like you so much, maybe tonight would be a little better. The next post was on the 4th of last year, and it was still a simple emoji. A birthday cake. The hand that was sliding the phone screen suddenly stopped, and the heartbeat that was just stable suddenly became chaotic. My mind was blank, and I just tried to combine those numbers with something. The 4th of the month was my birthday. The 4th of the month was the day when Zhao Hang and I got together. The 4th of the month was the day when Zhao Hang and I broke up. I couldn't control my hand shaking slightly, and swiped down hard, and easily slid to the first post in his circle of friends. The 4th of the month I met someone, and my heart was in chaos for her. The 4th of the month song, Yao Yao said I was cute today. It was so funny, she was the cutest. The 4th of the month I didn't talk to Zhong Yao Yao today, keep up the good work. Year month day damn it, why did Zhong Yao Yao delete me? Year month day today I heard Zhong Yao Yao and her friends say that men are just entertainment. It's entertainment, can you add me back first? Year month da yi bought a cake like yours because I wanted to make a wish, I hope I can be with you next year. Zhong Yao Yao, happy birthday cake. When I saw He Xingyi, I had been squatting at the entrance of the library for 2 hours. It's early autumn now, the air at night is damp and cold, and I'm only wearing a thin sweater. I squatted down when I was tired of standing, and my body shrank into a small ball. Resist the wind. Even in such an embarrassing situation, I still couldn't stop. My damn peach blossom luck, and one after another came to chat with me. What a coincidence, He Xingyi saw this scene when he walked out of the library. According to the person involved, I was squatting in the corner of the library entrance pitifully, with wet eyes and affectionate eyes looking at the boy in front of me who was holding a mobile phone to ask for my WeChat, which made people want to protect him. I was really speechless. My eyes were wet because of the wind. What the hell was affectionate? Can I be blamed for having a pair of eyes that look affectionate even at dogs? As soon as I saw He Xingyi coming out, I called him He Xingyi. He Xingyi glanced at me and paused slightly. But when he noticed the boy in front of me, his steps became hurried again, and even his tall back seemed to contain some kind of resentment. Excuse me, classmate, I pointed at He Xingyi helplessly, I'm here to wait for my boyfriend. The boy left after hearing what I said, but I don't know if the boyfriend heard me or not, but he ignored me anyway. I wanted to get up and chase him, but I squatted for too long, my feet were numb. He Xingyi. I didn't give up. I held the wall and gritted my teeth and called him, He Xingyi, He Xingyi, He Xingyi. The boyfriend stopped and stood there, but he still turned his back and refused to turn around as if he was angry. Come here, my feet are numb. I looked up at him, pitiful. He Xingyi moved this time, and his long legs took 2 steps to get in front of me, with a handsome face still stern. What are you doing here? Waiting for you. I saw He Xingyi's puzzled look after saying it. You didn't reply to my message. I guess you must still be in the library, so here. Before I finished speaking, my body suddenly warmed up, and a piece of clothing covered my head. He Xingyi's coat, still with his body temperature and a faint smell of laundry detergent, was very reassuring. No, I'm not going to reply to you. I'm out of battery. He Xingyi squatted down and looked at me. His face was still not good, but his tone had become gentle. Can you still walk? He stood up and stretched out a hand to me, wanting to help me. No, I immediately shook my head and stretched out my arms to him. You carry me. He Xingyi didn't move. I looked at him seriously, but I still felt a little regretful in my heart. The innocent and lovely junior brother is still better. Hey, I've been waiting for 2 hours, and it's so windy here. I'm cold and I buried my head and complained bitterly. Before I finished speaking, He Xingyi had already turned around and squatted with his back to me. He didn't say a word, but I saw that his ears were already red. I used my hands and feet to lie on his back and called his name, He Xingyi. He responded, his voice was a little unnatural. I cleared my throat. The boy just added me on WeChat. Oh, the person under me trembled. But I told him I was waiting for my boyfriend. I turned my head to look at He Xingyi, his black eyelashes moved slightly, and the expression on his face was also frozen. It took a while for He Xingyi to speak. His voice was soft and cautious. Did you wait for it? I smiled sweetly on his back. Yes, I did. The autumn wind still carried a bit of coolness, but I was no longer cold. I suddenly propped myself up and pecked He Xingyi on the face, and watched with satisfaction as the expression on his face, which was as cold as ice, slowly melted. I lay on his back honestly, as quiet as a chicken. I didn't talk or make a fuss, and He Xingyi probably didn't quite adapt. What are you doing? SHH, I'm listening. I interrupted him. What do you want to hear? To hear if your heart is in turmoil. He Xingyi carried me downstairs in the community, and I asked him if he wanted to go upstairs and sit down. He blushed and refused unnaturally. I pinched his chin like teasing a decent woman. Are you afraid that I will sell you? Or do you boys have to protect yourself like this when you go out? I was just joking, but He Xingyi didn't laugh. He was silent for a while before saying, Zhong Yao Yao, I will take it seriously. If you are just playing with me, What about you? I shamelessly approached him. You just ignored me and deleted all your friends, right? Childish. He Xingyi looked up at me. You know everything. I know, this silly boy must have blocked me before, and I'm afraid he forgot when he added me on WeChat again this time. He Xingyi, you like me so much, why didn't you say it earlier? I asked, staring into his eyes. He Xingyi looked back at me, looking a little helpless. I've said it. When? Many times, he sighed. You just didn't take it seriously. I was shocked. When did He Xingyi say he liked me? In the following time, because He Xingyi refused to go upstairs, I was blown by the cold wind downstairs for 2 hours, listening to all the strange declarations of love that He Xingyi had made to me before. For example, when I played games with my friends, I put my phone number in the circle of friends, and whoever's phone rang would drink. He Xingyi called me, hesitated for a long time, and then said, drink less. However, I drank 1 more glass because of his call, and thought it was some new way of pranking. For example, I was sick and stayed in the school hospital for 2 days, and He Xingyi took care of me personally for 2 days. During that time, he poured water, brought food, peeled fruit, gave me infusions, took medicine, and told stories to coax me to sleep. I was so touched that I immediately ordered a banner to send to him after I was discharged from the hospital, praising the humanitarian care of our school hospital. But the problem is that He Xingyi wore a white coat and a mask the whole time. There was no way I could recognize him, right? Another example is the physical test in my sophomore year. I have never been good at sports since I was a child, and the 800-meter race was a death sentence for me. After the first lap, I was exhausted. Looking at the large group that was getting farther and farther away, my steps became heavier and heavier, and I was about to give up. At that time, I didn't know where He Xingyi came from, and took advantage of the teacher's inattention to pull me up. He said, Zhong Yao Yao, I'll go with you. I was so tired that I didn't want to talk at all, but I found a reason to persevere in this extremely plain sentence. At least there was someone to run with me. When I ran to the finish line on the passing line, I was panting and wanted to find him and thank him. As soon as I stood up, I was surrounded by a bunch of attentive boys. Some handed me water, some fanned me, and some helped me walk. But none of them was him. Now I know, he is He Xingyi. The dim light cast on He Xingyi, making him look too gentle. When He Xingyi talked about these things, he didn't have any resentment, but smiled faintly, as if he was immersed in that memory. There was no word of love in his story, but it seemed that love was everywhere. He Xingyi, why are you so stupid? My throat itched. You always do good things without leaving your name. You are a Lei Feng in love. I like you, it's my business, He Xingyi chuckled. I don't want you to think that my love is a burden. I don't want to use the things I am willing to do for you to kidnap you and make it a bargaining chip for you to be with me. It's not kidnapping. I took his hand hanging by my side, my heart sour, but you should also let me know that unrequited love is very hard. Who should love so recklessly? I'm not a child. I don't care about gains and losses, or consequences. I like it. He Xingyi lowered his eyes and stared at me, his eyes sparkling, and his voice was gentle to the bone. No, Zhong Yao Yao. I like you, I am happy with it. After returning home and taking a shower, He Xingyi had sent several messages. He Xingyi, I got home 2 minutes ago, and my phone was charging for the first 2 minutes. He Xingyi, it feels so unreal, like I got a great bargain. He Xingyi, what is Yao Yao doing? He Xingyi, what is my Yao Yao doing? He Xingyi, I should have stood downstairs a little longer. He Xingyi, is Yao Yao busy? He Xingyi, are you going to delete me again? When I saw the message, the person on the other end was already paranoid and suspected that I just said I wanted to be with him because I lost the game. So cute, I called him directly. The other end quickly answered. Yao Yao. His voice was inexplicably hoarse. Yeah, I leaned on the sofa and wiped my hair. Are you relieved? My boyfriend He Xingyi. Relax, relieved, the other end hesitated. I'll call you back later, dear. Are you busy? I asked casually. In the bathroom. He Xingyi's voice was low. I was afraid I couldn't answer your call, so I brought it in. Wait for me for 5 minutes. You're amazing for answering the phone while taking a shower. I hung up the phone with a smile, and just as I switched out, I saw a WeChat message from my ex-boyfriend Zhao Hang. I didn't want to pay attention to it, but suddenly noticed that He Xingyi's name was mentioned in it. Zhao Hang, I found out, He Xingyi from the clinical class of the medical school. Zhao Hang, very brave. I added a question mark. I just replied to the message, and Zhao Hang called me. Zhao Hang, what do you mean? I asked anxiously as soon as the call was connected. Nothing, Zhao Hao's voice was gloomy and cold. I just don't like him and want to deal with him. Don't worry about it. I still like you and can't touch you. There seemed to be a lot of people on his side. As soon as he finished speaking, there was a burst of laughter and the sound of people answering the phone one after another. You stole my brother's girlfriend. I'll beat him up in the toilet tomorrow, he's so dishonest. Nowadays, these women. Like this kind of pretty boy, they are all mentally ill. Brother Hang, don't spoil her. Zhao Hang cursed inwardly. As the cursing sounded over there, cold sweat began to appear on my back. Zhao Hang was not like this when he was with me before. He spoke very politely and behaved quite gentlemanly. Although I also heard others say that Zhao Hao's brother killed people but didn't go to jail, and that his family were all gangsters, and Zhao Hang was not honest. But I didn't listen to it at the time, and I didn't think Zhao Hang was that kind of person. In the end, you can only know a person's face but not his heart. Zhao Hang, we have broken up for half a year. I was afraid of angering him, so I tried to speak in a nice way. I don't admit it. Zhao Hang spat irritably. At that time I thought you were just being petty with me, and I coaxed you for half a year but you didn't get better. I didn't care about the few lickers around you, but you turned around and found a new lover. Don't be unreasonable. I was speechless by his words. We broke up, and even if I don't stay with He Xingyi, I will be with someone else in the future, so don't bother him. Oh, you're protecting me? Now, I'll have to give him a few more kicks because of what you said. I'll find another one for you in the future. I'm wasting your time. You can handle it yourself. As soon as he finished speaking, he hung up the phone without waiting for me to speak. I held the phone, my heart was in a mess. At this moment, the phone rang again. It was He Xingyi calling. Hello? He Xingyi said, who are you talking to? It took you so long. With my mom. I made up a lie in a daze. What did you talk about with your aunt? He seemed to be in a good mood, and every tone of his voice was full of smiles. We didn't talk about anything, just told me to eat more. Auntie is right, He Xingyi, I held my breath and called out his name with difficulty. I just thought about it. Why don't we separate for a while? There was silence for a few seconds, as if he didn't hear what I just said. He Xingyi suddenly said, Yao Yao, do you want to eat sugar roasted chestnuts? What? I didn't quite understand what he meant. Sugar roasted chestnuts, the hot kind. I don't eat sugar roasted chestnuts. He interrupted me before I finished speaking. Zhong Yao Yao, come downstairs. My body froze, and I rushed to the balcony without even bothering to put on my shoes. The dim street lights cast a broken shadow on the ground. He Xingyi, wearing a pure white sweater, stood tall, holding a phone in one hand and a brown paper bag in the other, looking up at me. He had a smile on his face, and it really seemed that he didn't hear what I just said. Why are you here? I felt very uncomfortable. When I was going back just now, I saw people selling sugar roasted chestnuts on the roadside. I was thinking that Zhong Yao Yao would probably want to eat sugar roasted chestnuts. I didn't say anything, holding the phone and still looking at him from a distance. Suddenly, a chuckle came from the other side. Of course, this is just the reason why I want to see you. So Zhong Yao Yao, do you want to eat sugar roasted chestnuts? My heart seemed to be grabbed by someone, and I wanted to rush downstairs to tell him that I want sugar roasted chestnuts, and I want He Xingyi too. But I couldn't take this step. I knew that as long as I went downstairs, I couldn't say goodbye. He Xingyi's embrace was very warm, and I couldn't say cold words. But what situation would this put He Xingyi in? I am not the kind of person who will be led by the nose, but I will not be so rash as to let He Xingyi bear Zhao Hao's revenge. So He Xingyi and I need to separate temporarily. Just temporarily. I repeated my words again. He Xingyi, let's separate. Temporarily, just temporarily. Before I finished speaking, He Xingyi hung up the phone abruptly. I stood on the balcony and watched him turn around dejectedly and resolutely, and threw the sugar-roasted chestnuts that he had just carefully held in his arms into the trash can on the side of the road. Without a trace of hesitation, I still put the phone to my ear, just looked at him quietly, and did nothing. He Xingyi, you see, it's really hard to like me. I watched the white figure getting smaller and smaller, and then I walked back to the living room. I calmly sent a message to Zhao Hang. I broke up with him, don't worry, I'll be single for life. The other side quickly replied, be good, I'll pick you up for dinner tomorrow. He Xingyi disappeared from my life temporarily. This is a good thing, I can just find a way to deal with Zhao Hang with all my heart. The mess between Zhao Hang and his family is actually easy to find out if you want to know, and he himself is outspoken. His family is the kind of local tyrants who escaped the crackdown on gangsters and evil. They have a little money and some connections, and most importantly, they are not afraid of their lives. The old gangster brought 2 young gangsters and caused trouble everywhere. They have been in a bad state for so many years, but no one has been able to deal with them. Zhao Hang might really be interested in me. When he was pursuing me, he really restrained his temper and pretended to be a good man in front of me, and I didn't see his ruffian look. Now because of He Xingyi, he probably doesn't bother to pretend anymore, and he takes me to show off every day. He and his group of bad friends no longer avoid me when they smoke, drink, bully people, and do unspeakable things, which is convenient for me to collect evidence. The progress is still quite smooth. As a result, I met He Xingyi that day. At that time, we hadn't seen each other for almost a week. When Zhao Hang accompanied me in the cafeteria queue, I saw He Xingyi. He also saw me and stared at me motionlessly. That look was just like the time when I asked for his WeChat, full of resentment. I quickly looked away, fearing that Zhao Hang would see him and cause unnecessary trouble. And He Xingyi didn't come to me, and kept a distance from me. I thought there would be no accidents, but if there were no accidents, they would still happen. Zhao Hang ordered a plate of fish, picked out the bones for me attentively, and put the white fish meat in my bowl. I don't like this. I didn't appreciate it and picked out the fish meat. I actually like fish, but I don't want to eat the fish he picked. If it was the fish meat that He Xingyi had picked, it would probably be more fragrant. Zhao Hang didn't give up and put the fish meat back into my bowl. Girls eat fish better. I still didn't want it, so I threw the meat on the table and said with a frown, I said I don't want to eat it, don't pick it. My tone was not good, and the atmosphere between us became cold as soon as I finished speaking. Zhao Hao's smiling expression suddenly sank, and he stared at me with a cold face. I stared back stubbornly. Zhao Hang lit a cigarette, took a deep breath, and then blew a smoke ring in my face. He was enduring but also venting his anger. I still know Zhao Hang well. I did this because I was confident and knew he would not do anything to me. He should have figured it out in the next second, put out the cigarette and said to me with a smile, if you don't want to eat it, then don't eat it. Why are you still angry? As a result, a bowl of soup suddenly poured down from Zhao Hao's head, which completely angered him. It's over, something happened. I looked over in panic. He Xingyi stood beside me, took my hand and looked down at Zhao Hang, as if he was looking down at an ant. She said she doesn't eat, don't you understand? From the time I met He Xingyi until now, he has always impressed me as a good little puppy, innocent, easy to deceive and blushing. I have never seen such a cold and disgusted expression on his face, nor have I heard him say a dirty word. But he looks fierce and fearless now, like a combative lion, guarding his territory and refusing to give in. But I am a little scared. I pulled his sleeve and whispered, He Xingyi, run. Now. He won't bully me. Zhong Yao Yao. He Xingyi interrupted me before I finished speaking. He pulled me up, and the skirt wet by the soup stuck to my thighs. He took a glance and retracted his gaze, and quickly took off his white coat and wrapped it around my waist to block it. I know everything, he sighed, I'm not really stupid. What? I looked at him in confusion. What did he know? Stand here and don't come over. He pulled me to the side and rolled up his sleeves. As long as you don't want me to lose, I won't lose. Zhao Hang was so angry that he pulled a piece of clothes from somewhere to wipe the soup off his body. When he saw He Xingyi pulling me, he was so angry that he wanted to tear He Xingyi to pieces. UF multiplied by King came to my house. Zhao Hang rushed up, I'm going to kill you in front of her today. The two of them fought in a group. He Xingyi obviously had never fought before. Facing a habitual offender like Zhao Hang, he seemed a little tired and was hit on the face several times. But he was very smart. Medical students are familiar with the structure of the human body, so they naturally know where it hurts the most and is the most fatal to hit people. The two of them fought to a draw, and both were injured. I watched Zhao Hang punch He Xingyi in the face without mercy, and I felt so distressed that my eyes turned red. I could only shout at him, He Xingyi, I don't want you to lose. I don't know if He Xingyi heard what I said, or if it worked. I only know that the clean and gentle boy was covered in blood and wrestled desperately with Zhao Hang, refusing to retreat. But he was just an ordinary student, and was no match for a scoundrel like Zhao Hang. When the police came, Zhao Hang was riding on him, hitting him fiercely again and again, without leaving any strength. Zhao Hang was pulled up by the police, and I rushed over to help He Xingyi up. He was still laughing. Look, I didn't lose. He winked at me, trying to comfort me. Even after being beaten like this. I looked at his bruised face, my eyes turned red, and my voice was choked. It doesn't hurt, he said, really tough. I know where it hurts the most when I hit someone, and I know how to protect myself. Don't cry, don't cry. He panicked when he saw me about to cry, and stood up to help me wipe my face, but he didn't know where he touched and grimaced in pain. I laughed again. He Xingyi also laughed at me. Zhong Yao Yao, he put his arms around me, his voice low and soft. Do you want to eat more sugar roasted chestnuts? The hot kind. I hugged him back, and said firmly, eat. When I was sitting in the police station holding a bag of sugar roasted chestnuts, I realized that the situation seemed to be quite serious. The police uncles all looked like they were facing a great enemy, which made me nervous. I pulled He Xingyi's sleeve and was worried. It's over, you won't be punished for fighting. Right. He Xingyi himself was quite calm, leaning on my shoulder sickly, busy peeling chestnuts. It's okay. After saying that, he turned his head and fed me the peeled chestnuts in his hand, and pinched my face. The chestnuts were soft and sticky, fragrant and sweet, and I ate them happily. Ahem. I was immersed in He Xingyi's feeding, and there was a light cough above my head, followed by a low question, what's going on? I looked up along the sound and saw a tall man in a police uniform, in his early 30s, with the charm of a mature man, looking at me and He Xingyi with a stern face. He had a sense of majesty, and I felt a little guilty and scared when he looked at me. The atmosphere was strange, and the policeman next to me explained very politely, Director He, it's all a small matter. 2 boys were fighting over a little girl. Just give them a lesson. Oh, it turned out that the leader came to inspect. It's not a big deal. I was relieved. Jealous? Look at your lack of ability. The man frowned and pointed at me. You are talking about that girl. I looked at He Xingyi in horror, and then at the man in front of me. Do these two know each other? What did the policeman call him just now? Director He? He Xingyi stood up and walked in front of the man, glaring at him. Don't scare her. Let's go. What are you still doing here? Won't you introduce me? The man refused to leave and glanced at me. How am I going to explain to my parents when I go back? My brother, He Xingyi pointed at the man reluctantly, and changed his expression to introduce me. Zhou Yao Yao, my lovely girlfriend. How about it? You don't have it. The man ignored his childish behavior and stretched out his hand to me. He Bei-chen, He Xingyi's brother, the director of the Taipei Public Security Bureau. I am Zhong Yao Yao. I stretched out my hand tremblingly. I don't know how I met He Xingyi's family, and in this occasion, in this situation, in this identity. A light bulb suddenly lit up in my head, and I suddenly held He Bei-chen's hand tightly. Uncle Police, is it your responsibility to crack down on gangsters and eliminate evil? I have something to report to you. He Bei-chen, let go of your hand. He Xingyi was anxious, and hurried over to pull my hand away, turning his head and saying to me, what Uncle Police? Yao Yao, you are a generation younger than me. And I have already explained the matter of Zhao Hang threatening you, don't worry. At this point, I suddenly understood what He Xingyi meant when he said he knew everything in the cafeteria just now. He knew my situation and knew that I had no choice but to separate temporarily. How did you know? I still didn't quite understand. You said you wanted to separate temporarily when you just got together with me, and the next day you were together with Zhao Hang again. He Xingyi was still a little resentful. How could I not guess? A little inquiry will tell you what kind of background Zhao Hang has, and what your plan is. Their family has done a lot of illegal things, so I reported it through formal channels. According to the progress, they were supposed to close the net in the next 2 days. After hearing this, I quickly realized the loophole, so you know what I'm worried about, and you also know that Zhao Hang will be finished in the next 2 days, so why did you fight with him today? It's not that I couldn't help it. He Xingyi looked at me a little guilty. It's also because. And because of what? I asked with a frown. Because I want you to feel sorry for me, He Xingyi sighed. I was so upset that I wanted to fight him. I was actually quite angry that night and felt that you were playing a trick on me. But after thinking about it, I couldn't really get angry with you. You are Zhong Yao Yao, how could I possibly care about you? But I always need to vent. So his way of venting is to get beaten? I looked at the bruises on He Xingyi's face and couldn't help laughing. Then you succeeded. I feel sorry for you. He Bei-chen, can you still watch? He Xingyi looked at me, and then looked at his brother with dissatisfaction. He Bei-chen shrugged and walked away with his long legs. When there was no one around, He Xingyi stepped forward and hugged me. It's not enough to make you feel distressed. But it's successful only if you love me, He Xingyi said with a hint of grievance. Do you remember what I told you last time, that I don't want to use the things I willingly do for you to kidnap you and make it a bargaining chip for you to be with me? Remember? I raised my eyes and bumped into He Xingyi's full determination. I regret it. I want to increase the bargaining chip. You need to know about my love for you anytime and anywhere. After He Xingyi finished speaking, he rested his chin on my shoulder and sighed softly. I laughed happily, broke free from his arms, and pecked him on the face on tiptoe. He Xingyi, do you want to eat sugar roasted chestnuts? The hot kind. Extra from He Xingyi's perspective, I have been staring at Zhong Yao Yao for a whole night. I want to see when it will be my turn to ask for WeChat. Finally, she came over here, and I was the 6th one. Hurry up and lower your head, don't let her find out that I am looking at her. Handsome, give me your WeChat. When she said that, I wanted to do it right away. I pressed my hand down halfway through raising it. I must not let Zhong Yao Yao think that I am a casual man. No, He Xingyi, was really good. I didn't dare to look at her expression, so I simply lowered my head, and then I heard her ask in confusion. When I looked up again, I realized that she was so close to me, and the total distance between us was only 2 centimeters. I suddenly remembered the way she pulled me to fill out the form when we first met. She was talking and laughing, neither flattering nor vulgar, and her whole person seemed to be emitting divine light, suddenly breaking into my world. My heart was in a mess. I was stunned and stupid. I saw Zhong Yao Yao looking at me with a look of surprise. I lowered my head in panic and replied to her. I said no, I regretted it after I said it. I should have agreed. My mouth. She was still talking to me, but my brain had crashed. The more I talked, the more mistakes I made. I don't have a girlfriend, and I don't want to make friends with Zhong Yao Yao. At least, not ordinary friends. After 2 rounds, Zhong Yao Yao no longer insisted and actually agreed to the request of the person next to her to add WeChat. Damn it. How can Zhong Yao Yao add others to WeChat casually? Zhong Yao Yao, how could you do this to me? She shamelessly intercepted and successfully added WeChat. I was very happy and wanted to say a few more words to Zhong Yao Yao. But her face fell and she left. After struggling for a long time, I sent her a message. He Xingyi. He Xingyi. Zhong Yao Yao, do you still remember me? I am He Xingyi, the junior of Model United Nations. The one you said that joining Model United Nations would give you a girlfriend like you. That He Xingyi. I saw Zhong Yao Yao pick up the phone, she should have seen it. I waited for a long time, but she didn't reply me. She turned around and talked and laughed with her friend. By the way, she told that friend that men are just for fun. Let's have fun. Zhong Yao Yao, can you reply me first? She really didn't reply me, she really forgot about me. I'm emo, she never remembered me at all. She is so likable, countless boys like her, my WeChat is ranked 6th, how many in her heart? Irritated. My friends around me are still complaining about why I didn't let him at the pretty girl's WeChat just now. I was so annoyed that I even wanted to punch him. You ad fart. I waited so hard that I even wanted to walk up to her and introduce myself again. Finally, I couldn't help it and opened the software to search how to attract the attention of the girl I like. Then I did it according to the first one. I posted a circle of friends, just 2 words, scumbag. A minute later, Zhong Yao Yao finally looked over, and we locked eyes across the bright lights and the nightlife. I was very happy. This search software is reliable. End.